Georgia 13.5-point favorites against the Tigers. Over under 48.5. A lot of storylines in this game. Georgia sort of rebuilding, but still a bunch of pieces still back from that team. Chris, what are you looking for the Bulldogs?
My big question in this matchup is really on the Clemson side, and it's, can Cade Klubnik live up to that hype still? Or is that train passed? Because Clemson's offense last year, they were 90th in the country in explosive plays of 30-plus yards. You're not going to be able to dink and dunk against Georgia's defense. You're going to have to get explosive plays, and it's a team that could not do that last year. And so, Georgia's got some injuries in the middle of that line, got some new guys in the secondary, replacing Malachi Starks and such. So, I'm sorry, not replacing him, but they've got Malachi Starks and such. So, can Clemson move the ball through the air? They haven't been able to do that the last couple of years. The receivers have not been on that level. And so that's the question we have.
I think when I'm looking at this matchup, you last year you mentioned the lack of explosiveness. It wasn't just lack of explosiveness; it was lack of effectiveness. I'm not a huge, scoring defense, scoring offense guy, but it is the most important thing in the sport. 19.4 points a game for Clemson last year against Power 5 opponents. That's a pretty significant drop from 2022. Georgia gave up just over 15 a game last year, gave up more than 21 twice. One of those was Alabama as well.
Oh, Todd.
Is this gonna be that much different than the 2021 game in Atlanta? If you had to bet your life that Clemson scores double-digit points in this game, would you do it? Because I don't think that I would. And so my lock of the week actually is going to be Clemson under team total of 17.5. I just think they're going to have a lot of problems moving the ball. I'm curious if we're going to have that Cade Klubnik breakout game, but we've seen him play enough football, and I'm not sure that Georgia is going to be the game that you see the breakout. Damien, what do you see in this matchup?
One thing that's important to note, both of you kind of alluded on the fact of Clemson wasn't very efficient last year. Granted, they didn't have a lot of explosive plays and, big chunk plays, but their effectiveness wasn't there. So if you're going to be a team that's not making these big explosive plays in the short chunk game, running the ball for 2-3 yards, 4 yards, quick, easy completions, that's the game that you have to live in, but you have to be effective if that's going to be your game. You can't go out here and, no offense to Florida State, throw the ball 5 yards down the field and not get anything out of it. You've got to be able to have possession plays that guarantee you 4, 5, 6 yards. That way you're not living in 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12 to where you have to make those big chunk plays. And if you can do that and you can maintain a rhythm and a system throughout your offense, then you're going to move the ball down the field more efficiently and then ultimately score points, because that's the most important part of the game. I remember one of the first things Bill Belichick ever asked the rookies whenever we got there is, hey, what's the easiest way to beat your opponent? So we're all sitting around looking at each other like, tell us something philosophical, please. And he's like, you score more points than the other team. We're like, oh, well, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So again, I think that the key for Clemson is going to be efficiency, not necessarily, looking for 20, 30-yard chunk plays, once or twice a drive. I think just move the ball efficiently down the field, have a rhythm, have a system, have a plan in place. And then once you get to the red zone, finish your drives off and score points. And that's the only way you can give yourself a chance against a tough Georgia team.
Let's hit our picks. Chris, what do you like in this game?
I've got Georgia winning and covering. I think the matchup I'm most interested in is Georgia's wide receivers against Clemson's defensive backs. Georgia's got some veteran receivers, but guys who are going to be in bigger positions now. And Clemson might be down 1 or 2 starting cornerbacks. They got some guys that were banged up in camp, and Dabo said they're day-to-day. So as long as Georgia's offensive line can protect Carson Beck, he may have a big day where we come out Sunday saying that's the new, Heisman Trophy leader after week 1. So keep an eye on Clemson's defensive backfield. I've got Georgia winning and covering the 13.5.
Damien, what's your pick?
Go Dogs. Great. I'm still an Alabama guy. I only did that because I live in Georgia now and I hear it once or twice. So again, I got Georgia.
We are united, which is always a dangerous place to be. I could see it being a slow-ish day for Georgia's offense. We still don't really know if Trevor Etienne is going to play. I do think he is going to be a big piece for them this year, but I like Georgia. I think this will be something like a 34-13 type of situation. I like that. I like Georgia to get it done.